Gently close your eyes. Do deep breathing. We'll chant Om once together. Synchronize the chanting of Om with your exhalation. Breathe in. Sahana vavatu, sahanau bhunaktu, sahaviryam karavavahai, tejasvinavaditamastu ma vitvishavahai. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Gently open your eyes. We'll chant from verses 61 to 65 of chapter 2. Tani sarvani sanyamya,
Tani sarvani sanyamya,
yukta asita matparaha,
yukta asita matparaha,
vashe hi yasyendriyani,
vashe hi yasyendriyani,
tasya prajna pratisthita,
tasya prajna pratisthita,
dhyayato vishayan pumsaha,
dhyayato vishayan pumsaha,
sangasteshu pajayate,
sangasteshu pajayate,
sangat sanjayate kamaha,
sangat sanjayate kamaha,
kamat krodho bhijayate,
kamat krodho bhijayate,
krodhat bhavati sammohaha,
krodhat bhavati sammohaha,
sammohat smriti vibhramaha,
sammohat smriti vibhramaha,
smriti bhramshat buddhinashaha,
smriti bhramshat buddhinashaha,
buddhinashat pranashyati,
buddhinashat pranashyati,
ragadvesha vimuktaistu,
ragadvesha vimuktaistu,
vishayanindriyaischaran,
vishayanindriyaischaran,
atmavasyairvidheyatma,
atmavasyairvidheyatma,
prasadamadigacchati,
prasadamadigacchati,
prasade sarvadukhanam,
prasade sarvadukhanam,
hanirasyopajayate,
hanirasyopajayate,
prasannachetaso hyashu,
prasannachetaso yashu,
buddhi paryavatishthate.
Buddhi paryavatishthate.
Hari Om, and a very good day to all of you. So last week we were doing verse number 61, the powerful sadhana tips which he is giving. Tani sarvani sanyamya. So when I say powerful sadhana tips, this is something which you need to understand. One of the differences between the yogic approach and a normal approach. When you study the text in a normal way, in a mere intellectual way, you may go through the many points externally. But yogic approach is delving deep and eking out the sadhana tips from the verse. There is a fundamental difference here. See, you're so used to the external type of education where you keep writing notes and you read those notes externally, but the internalization never happens. And how you can practice it in your day-to-day living, that also nobody is bothered about. So in yogic approach, our primary motive of going deep into these verses is not to merely appreciate the beauty of these verses. That is incidental. You know, it's wonderful poetry, such lofty thoughts. So you do appreciate. But our main motive is not all that. Our main motive is to get the sadhana tips and see how this can be useful in our lives. So, Tani Sarvani, I had explained to you how that one energy which is running through one sense organ can get distributed to the other sense organs when you try to control this particular sense organ. Just as in science you would have studied, there are 5 holes and you try to plug one, then the water gets distributed to the other 4. I'm talking of a kind of a trough or a container. So this is the natural flow of water. Similarly, what is the natural flow of the mind? The mind always keeps running and it tries to find areas where it can express itself. That is why this quality of sanyamya, it is a lifetime practice. It takes many, many years to master this. To stop the roving mind is the achievement of a yogi. That is the most difficult thing to do. But once you master it, you talk to anyone who has achieved that, he or she would say it is very simple. But it is not simple when you start off, because the mind's tendency is to run helter-skelter. So when you try to gain control over one sense organ, the mind's energy will immediately try to leak out through the other sense organs. And again, when you try to plug there, it will try to leak through some other hole. So that is the nature of the mind. Therefore, he says, Tani Sarvani is a very important principle of sadhana. So any sadhana you do, you have to do it with this total picture in mind, not a very limited perspective. So Tani Sarvani Sanyamya. So the word Samyama, I had explained last week the three aspects of Yam. So Sam means total, completely. And Yam has the three aspects. So you should reflect on the three aspects and see how you can practice these three aspects in your life. So where do you need to refrain completely? Where can you allow yourself to freely experience? And even when you're experiencing, up to a point you're okay, and after a certain point you lose control. So these are the things which you need to first find out. So as a sadhak, first apply it with respect to sense contact. That's why he is in the next few verses, even though he'll be talking about how the mind slips, he will keep coming back to the senses, because that is where you need to start. So what do you need to do? Among the sense enjoyments, your sense organs, you first divide them into your own personal group. That is, those sense organs where you have no weakness whatsoever. See, this requires a lot of honesty, because where you have weakness, generally the mind will come and cover your clarity, and it will try to convince you that you don't have any weakness. So that is why you should be very humble and always seek the grace of the higher, seek the grace of the Guru, so that your clarity does not get covered by the various, I would say, methods of the mind. Because the mind which is uncontrolled is backed by the ego. So the ego is one which goes on finding out various ways and means by which your mind can fool you. So in the Kathopanishad, the conversation between Lord Yama and this young boy Nachiketas, he says that. He says, see, one is to know what is good and what is harmful to you. The other is to maintain that clarity when you experience life, when you go through your experiences. When you're sitting all alone, you are able to have, clearly understand, this is what is good for me, this is not good for me. But when you actually get into the various situations, then the pressure of the situation, the intensity of the experience is so strong that comes and clouds your clarity. So Lord Yama actually praises Nachiketas, because Nachiketas was a boy who had practiced this Sanyama and who had mastered that. So he tells the young boy, he tells him, it is something commendable what you have done. You not only have the clarity of what is good and what is bad, uses the word Shreyaha and Preyaha. Shreyaha means that which is good for you. Preyaha, that which is merely pleasant, maybe pleasant in the beginning but detrimental later on. So not only do you have that understanding, the clarity of what is good for you and what is not good for you, but you have practiced it to such an extent where even when you're going through the various experiences of your life, you're not allowing the mind to overpower your clarity. He says, Nachiketas, I really salute you. The Guru tells the student, the Guru admires the student so much. See, a true Guru, when he sees a worthy disciple, it gives him immense happiness. The wisdom automatically flows. If the student is dull and he doesn't put any effort, then automatically the Guru Tattva in a Guru becomes dormant. So that is what you need to see. One is to have clarity, and the other is to not to allow the clarity to be covered by your mind when you're experiencing life, when you're going through experiences. So you need to first find out amidst the various senses, what are the senses where you don't have any weakness. There you can freely contact. There is no taboo. Actually, there is no taboo whatsoever. It is only a question of whether you have mastery or not. If at all they are putting certain rules, they are giving certain principles, it is only for your good. Because when you don't follow these principles, you're bound to get stressed. You're bound to lose all your inner powers. So what are the areas where you can freely contact? So in those areas, don't frustrate yourself. Unnecessarily don't withdraw. Then you will not be able to do your sadhana properly. See, in spirituality, if you suppress unnecessarily, you will not be able to do your sadhana. Then you need to find out what are those areas where you have tremendous weaknesses, where the moment the object comes in front of you, you immediately lose yourself totally. You have absolutely no control. In those areas, it is wise to withdraw and do the sadhana and gain inner strength. So if you are allowing yourself to freely contact the senses in those areas where you don't have weakness, you will have the strength to practice this step of stopping. The second dimension of Sanyama is stopping. Stopping in those areas where you have real weaknesses. So in the area of weakness where you know you will completely get toppled, you cannot afford to mingle. You cannot say, let me go and experience, let me now try to conquer it there. It will not work. If you have a weakness for alcohol, don't say I will go to the pub and then overcome the weakness. It's not possible. If required, those friends who may be triggering, who may be inducing the desire, it's better to talk to them and say for a while, I would don't contact me. If at all you contact me, don't take this topic. Because once they start enticing you, thereafter it will be very difficult for you to maintain control. Your consciousness will pull your mind. Your consciousness will get lost. So find out those areas. There you apply the other dimension of Sanyama, which is completely stopping. And then the third aspect, which is checking or restraining. That is, whenever you're experiencing life, this happens to everyone, up to a point you are able to maintain control, But after a certain point, your mind will go berserk. So you need to learn to determine that point in every sense contact. A disciplined life will make you very healthy, will give you success, will keep your energy flow always going. You will always be full of vitality and enthusiasm. So how do you practice the discipline? It is in locating that point when you are experiencing life, that is when you're going through various experiences of life, that point where you lose yourself. So up to that, there is nothing to worry. But moment you find your mind slipping, immediately you withdraw. That is the other aspect of yam. So sam yam. While chanting we are saying sanyamya. So you need to practice this. So first understand the concept, and then when you start practicing, you will find that your understanding will be up to the mark, but when you actually go and experience, you will forget all this. There is nothing to worry, because every sadhak goes through these problems. So the second step would be in remembering this wisdom when you are experiencing life. That is where these sessions will help you a lot, week after week, when you are listening to these truths and when you're receiving this higher healing energy. What will happen is, at a weak moment of your life, suddenly you will find the wisdom will come and help you. Somebody had sent me a mail, and what she says is, she was going through a lot of turmoil due to this lockdown situation, pandemic, and she was going through a lot of issues and work-wise. And at that time, suddenly, she said, like a bell ringing, she remembered a particular verse from the Bhagavad Gita, where I had mentioned about having a confidence, facing any challenge with confidence. She said, I literally heard your voice and the whole lecture, that point came as if somebody was sitting inside and talking. It is your own wisdom which is being awakened. So when you are very sincere, when you are attending every week, and then you are reflecting, you're trying to recapitulate the points, when you express yourself, all these are aspects, various aspects of the sadhana that will help you a lot when you're facing the challenges of your life. So the Guru Tattva, the Guru Shakti, the force, is not restricted to when you are listening to a lecture or when you are attending a healing session. No. A true master constantly gives the energy, so that even when you are all alone by yourself and when you are experiencing life, this wisdom can come and protect you. Like the tortoise which withdraws all the limbs, all the parts, the head, the tail and the four limbs, under the protective shell which it has, whenever it senses danger. So whenever you have some challenge in life, some problem in life, if you have been a sincere sadhak, you don't need to worry. This wisdom will immediately come and form a protective layer. Whatever you need to do, it will automatically strike you. The Guru Tattva, the Guru Shakti will start functioning. We are trying to awaken that through the yogic approach. So, Tani Sarvani Sanyamya, having restrained them all. Then what should you do? He says, one should sit Asita Yukta Matparaha, with me as the Supreme. Now this is the second part. Very, very powerful sadhana tips he is giving here. First of all, he says Asita. Asita, we have translated it as sitting. Now the root, the root of the word Asita is as. As means to sit. It also means to rest. Now, what is the sadhana tip which we get from here, from this word asita? It is very, very significant in yogic sadhana. In the yogic parlance, they use the word standing whenever you are ready to act. They use the word lying down when you are ready to sleep. And they use the word sitting when you are alert, but at the same time your mind is calm and tranquil for meditation. So asita is always used to in the context of meditation. Even the word asana. Asana means the sitting posture. See, many practitioners of yoga don't understand that the entire other asanas which are done, all the other postures, are only to ultimately develop this capacity to be able to sit for long hours without feeling any disturbance in the body. So when in the Yoga Shastras he talks of Asana Siddhi, what he means is the capacity to sit without any disturbances for long periods of time, because that is very conducive for meditation. Of course, once you move to a very high level, whether your body has pain or not and all that, it does not matter, because you have the ability to detach your mind from the body. And as long as you are in that state of meditation, you will not feel the pain. But of course, when you come back from that state, you may feel. That's a different matter. But for every sadhak to gain asana siddhi is of prime most importance. It will help you so much. Otherwise, you will sit, but some disturbance of the body will not allow you to prolong. It will come and distract you, distract your meditative practice. That is why he uses the word asita. If you remember, in the first chapter, that verse where he talks of the magnificent chariot, where he introduces Krishna and Arjuna, Krishna for the first time, the grand entrance of Krishna, that verse, he says, Madhava and Pandava, Krishna and Arjuna, what were they doing in the magnificent chariot? Standing on the magnificent chariot. It's a beautiful expression. So why did he use the word standing there? Because they were ready to fight, they were ready to act. So you'll always find whenever he's talking of action, he will use the word standing. And whenever he is talking of meditation, he will use the word sitting. Upanishad. You know, the Upanishads are the highest level of sadhana, the philosophy which are contained in the end portion of the Vedas. Now the very word Upanishad, Upa means near, Ni means below, Shad means to sit. The near, below and sit, in the future, when I take the Upanishads, I'll explain in more detail. But there also, this quality of sitting he emphasizes. So similarly, when you're lying down, that is to relax. That is only to relax and go off to sleep. Either it is for pure relaxation, not meditation. Relaxation is the first step of meditation. So completely relaxing yourself or even going off to sleep. Then they will use the word lying down. But the moment they say asita, sitting, it contains two aspects. Number one, it means to sit, that is, you are resting, sitting and resting. You are tranquil, but at the same time, you have not fallen off to sleep. You are alert. Relaxed alertness. Being very aware, but maintaining total calmness. That is the meaning of asita. So it is not only merely physically sitting. When he says asita, when he uses the root as, one is to sit, the other is to rest. Rest means the mind. Your mind has to settle down, that has to sit. Remember, throughout the scriptures, they talk of the mind. See, all the physical practices which may be given, they have no meaning per se. All the physical practices are only to gain the ultimate control over your mind. You should remember this. Per se, a physical rule has no meaning in spirituality. That is why these rules and regulations can be changed. Every master, according to the times, he will change the rules and regulations. He may change the rituals. You know, in the pre-Vedic times, whatever rituals they practiced were totally different from what they used to practice during Vedic times. When Lord Krishna came, he changed those rituals. You know, they had the ritual of worshipping the rain god. Krishna said, no, let us worship the cows, because they were cowherds, you know, and the cows are grazing in the Govardhana mountain. So let us worship the mountain, because this is where we are getting our bread and butter from. Why do you have to worship some unknown, the god of rains? So he changed the rituals, but the spirit behind the rituals was maintained. So any external practice can be changed according to the times, according to one's nature, but the principle behind those practices will never be changed. So sometimes you may find the master may ask you to do something, and then sometimes he may ask you to do something which is totally opposite of that. Now you will get confused because you have a tendency to get fixed with something, fixed with a concept. But if you see, the principle behind both will be the same only. So when he talks of asita, it is not merely physically sitting, that is also included. But the second aspect, the subtler aspect, is resting. Your mind should rest. Your mind should settle down. That is why I always tell you, when you do the Yoga Sankirtan sadhana every day, choose a conducive time where you're relatively free of your activities. See, supposing you have some very important meeting between 8 and 9, and then you have another very important activity between 10 and 11, and those activities are causing a lot of pressure. Your mind is constantly thinking, and in between you keep a schedule. Now let me listen to Yoga Sankirtan. Now it will not work, because you will be so restless. It will take a while first for your body to settle down, and then for your mind to settle down. Even in the Sri Hari Dhyana initial talk, if you notice, I've said you should practice the Yoga Sankirtan, the sacred sadhana of Yoga Sankirtan, preferably in the early hours of the morning. Why have I said that? The early hours of the morning, that the time is very conducive. So when you wake up early, as the Brahma Muhurta is actually at 4 o'clock, around 4, 3:30, 4. Some people say 3:30, some people say 4. You don't need to get into so much of specifics and lose the spirit behind it. But as early as possible, if that is difficult, at least at 5 or 6 or whatever, when you wake up and you wash your face and all that, and then when you sit for Yoga Sankirtan sadhana, your mind is relatively in a settled state. Later on, when you start your activities, your mind will get into a hyper mode. That is why the meditation, the higher meditation, the yogic sadhana of the Yoga Sankirtan, all these things are suggested early in the morning, just to make things conducive for you. So the principle is this only. Number one, Asana Siddhi of your body. We'll see whether after this 22-day program, which we're going to have in December, how the lockdown rules are there. If it is allowed, we will start the Hiranyagarbha Yoga classes, which will help you gain this Asana Siddhi, which will make your body very flexible and healthy. And soon you will be able to sit for long hours without any disturbance. But even if the lockdown rules are still there, we will see how to do it online. Some way, I'm sure, will be shown. So that is the first aspect. The second aspect is your mind has to settle down. When will your mind settle down? Only if you have practiced Tani Sarvani Sanyamya. To the extent you have practiced the first sadhana, that is Tani Sarvani Sanyamya, to that extent you will be able to practice Asita at the subtler level. The mind will settle down. So beautifully he is getting into the flow, If you can also flow with the master, he is giving so beautifully. Tani Sarvani Sanyamya Yukta Asita. Asita. The gaining the Asana Siddhi, and that is the physical part, and then resting the mind. Actually, in the next few verses, when he is going to give you how you lose your control the ladder of fall, he'll be exactly telling you how the mind becomes restless. And later on, after that, he will say, to a restless mind, there will be no peace, there will be no meditation, nothing. It's not possible. So that is why the Tani Sarvani Sanyamya, that and meditation have to go hand in hand. To the extent you practice this, to that extent you will be able to practice the other aspect. And to the extent you meditate, to that extent you will be able to practice the Tani Sarvani Sanyamya. So this is not in a chronological order where you first sit and master the step number 1, and after many years you go to step number 2, and then after many years you go to step number 3. It is not like that. All the steps you need to follow right from beginning, but initially you will be doing more of Sanyama. And to the extent you're practicing that, to that extent you will find the other aspect of Asita will be easy for you to practice. So, having restrained them all, one should sit. The great saint Arunagirinadar, he gave Asita as a full-fledged sadhana. When they asked him what should we do in order to attain God realization, he said, Summa iru. Summa iru means just don't do anything. No, please don't misunderstand this and become tamasic or lazy. He is not talking of laziness. That is why I said Asita means calm and alert, relaxed alertness. See, there is a big difference between being in a state of relaxation and calmness and being in a state of laziness. This is something which you need to differentiate. Otherwise, you will misunderstand this. Already you may be very lazy. Now one more word you got. Asita. Fantastic, Yogishri. What a tip you have given. So you drop off all your duties and you are just sitting, doing nothing. And when your spouse comes and asks you, what are you doing? You say, it's all Yogishri's grace. He has given such great wisdom. Please don't do that. Then you will only face a lot of issues. So Asita is not laziness, is not shirking duties. It is a relaxed alertness. They practice the same principle in martial arts also. If you go and talk to the Shaolin masters or Varmakalai masters, any person who has practiced martial arts for many, many years, they've done their sadhana in that and they've mastered that. When you go and talk to them, they will say the highest principle of martial arts is actually not to do anything. Just be relaxed. Then when a person attacks, what should you do? Should you counter? They'll say no. When a person attacks, you just move away. That's all. Supposing a person comes and he tries to give a punch like this. No need to counter attack and all that or defend. Very top end martial arts masters, what they'll do is when you go try to punch them, they'll just slightly turn this side. Then the punch will go. They will not waste their energy at all. Only when they are put in a corner where they have to defend themselves, that is a time when they will use the techniques for self-defense. Otherwise, they will be very, very relaxed. Most people think martial arts means aggression. No. Actually, as you master martial arts, all your aggressive tendencies will go away. Your violence and all will go away. A true martial artist will become extremely non-violent because he knows what damage can be inflicted, what amount of pain and suffering a person can go through, so that unconditional love will automatically come, provided you learn martial arts in a spiritual way. Nowadays I find that every art is getting diluted and polluted. So being very, very relaxed in life, but at the same time alert. That is asita. So this is how you should be when you are when you do your sadhana. That is why I always suggest have your bath and all that, and then sit for your yogic sadhana, for your yoga sankirtan. If you ask me, really speaking, sir, go, even without a bath, is it okay? Principally, it is okay only. But that will not be so conducive. See, when you wake up in the morning, it takes a while for your drowsiness to go away. So with that feeling, if you just go and sit for yoga sankirtan, chances are you will fall off to sleep. You will be doing it in a very lazy way. Whereas when you have a bath, do some kriyas, you activate your energy centers, and then when you sit to do yoga sankirtan sadhana, you will find that you will be very, very alert, but at the same time relaxed. So, tani sarvani sanyamya, and then asita. So asita, the principle of asita can be practiced in all areas of life. See, no doubt here he is talking of meditation, actual practice of meditation. But you can practice it in other areas also. Even when you are working, to be in an alert state, but at the same time in a relaxed state. Whenever you are alert, you will lose your relaxation. You will become stressed. Whenever you relax, you will lose your alertness. You will fall off to sleep. Observe. So to be alert, dynamic, and at the same time to be relaxed, that is the yogic wisdom. So don't restrict asita only at the meditation seat. Whatever is being taught here, all these principles can be applied in every area of your life. When you are interacting with your family members, with your near and dear ones, be fully there, alert. At the same time, be relaxed, calm, so that your calming influence will calm everyone there, will make them happy. Some people, they don't need to say anything verbally. The moment they come, they radiate such energy of agitations and restlessness that everybody else, around them also become very restless and uncomfortable. Some people, they don't need to again say anything verbally. They are so calm and composed. The moment you come in contact with them, your mind also calms down. This is the hallmark of any yogi, any spiritual master. When you see him, when you interact with him, what hits you is the calmness. But at the same time, he will not be sleeping. See, you may find a master just sitting quietly in a corner and he'll be meditating. So you may be thinking that, he is not aware of what is happening. But supposing you in front of him, if you're doing various actions, and he may be sitting and meditating. If you do something wrong, he may immediately point out, hey, you have forgotten that, you have to do it. If you turn around and ask him, how is it that you have noticed that? I have been fully awake, but I didn't notice it. It is because he is in a state of relaxed alertness. There was a master who was talking about awareness. So what happened is, after the discourse, the organizers were taking him back home. So he was sitting in the back seat of the car, and in the front, one person was driving, and another person was sitting in the other seat in the front. So they were having a very animated discussion about awareness, which the master had just then explained. And what was the master doing? Just with his eyes closed, he was in a state of meditation. And these two people were discussing. And after about 10 minutes, the master opened his eyes and he said, "Can you just stop the car for a second?" So the person stopped. He said, "You both have been talking about awareness for so long." Actually, they had a question in their discussion. So they asked him a question. They said, "Sir, we have this doubt about awareness." So to which he said, "For last 10 minutes or 20 minutes, whatever you've been discussing about awareness, but were you both aware that as we were coming, there was a cat which came in between the car? Now, I didn't disturb you, I didn't tell you that because before we could do anything, the car went forward further. So no point in telling you at that moment. But were you both even aware of that?" And to their utter surprise, they found that they were not aware of that. Now you've been discussing about awareness. So he said, stop discussing about awareness and start practicing awareness. This is the state of a master. He may look as if he is not participating in the world, but he is fully alert and alive. Whenever you see the eyes of any master, you will see both these aspects. On one hand, you will find the tejas, the alertness. On the other hand, you will find unconditional peace, infinite peace in his eyes, peace and calmness. That is what you also should try and achieve. Why try and achieve? You should achieve because it is well within your capacity. That's why asita means it's a direct kind of an instruction. He says you should sit. Generally in the scriptures they will never force, they will never use the word should and all that. But here asita means should sit. Why is he saying you should sit? Because you have that capacity. For a person who has no capacity, what is the point in giving instructions? If a person wants to gain knowledge about a particular subject and you know a library where there are certain books pertaining to that particular subject which he wants to study, then what would you tell him? You should visit that library. It will help you. Now he will not ask you, who are you to tell me I should visit the library. They don't mean it in a way where they are ordering. What they are meaning is your goal is to become happy. The ultimate purpose of your life, what is it that you're seeking? It is only happiness. And this is what will give you happiness. Therefore, they are saying you should do the sadhana. You should gain complete self-mastery. Self-mastery will give you happiness. Whereas when you have no control over yourself, a slavish life will give you stress. And everyone wants to remove his or her stress and become happy. And therefore he says, asita, one should sit. And then what does he say? Matparaha, yukta matparaha, united with me as the Supreme. Yukta means united. your consciousness. He says you should raise your consciousness and unite it with the infinite. Me means the infinite being. He is, the moment he uses the word me, don't confuse it with the form of Lord Krishna. No. Everyone, including Lord Krishna, has two aspects. One is the finite aspect, other is the infinite aspect. The finite aspect is this body, the personality. The infinite aspect is that supreme consciousness, divinity, that formless reality. So Krishna is a person who has completely got attuned with that infinite aspect. Having got attuned to that infinite aspect, when he says united with me, he is feeling that and saying it's a personal experience for him. See, for any master, these things come out from personal experience, not from bookish knowledge. So Krishna was a Purna avatar. He was born with this connection with the infinite. So when he is talking from that platform, when he is tuned into that frequency and he is giving the wisdom, you should also tune into the same frequency. When he is interacting at a lower level, he may use the word I, me to mean the finite aspect. But here, he is vibrating at the highest frequency. And then he is saying, become united to me. At that time, you should not bring down the vibrations by equating the word me to the personality of Lord Krishna. He is not meaning that. You go to the Upanishads, they talk the same language. You go to any scripture, the moment they step up the frequency, they will say, now focus completely on me, not that person. It is the infinite aspect within you, because that infinite aspect which was there in Lord Krishna, the same infinite is there within you also. That is why in the Atma Bodha, Adi Shankara says, Atma tu satatam prapta. The Supreme Self is always present, everywhere. It was present in the past, it is present right now, it will continue to be present in the future. Anybody who attunes to that Supreme Self, he gets united. He becomes the infinite, he or she. So if there was somebody who had done it thousands of years back, the same infinite presence is there within you right now also. All you have to do is to get united with your own infinite self, the infinite aspect within you. So true attunement to Lord Krishna is attuning to the infinite being. Because some people will be devotees of Lord Krishna. Some people will be devotees of Lord Rama. Some people, the funniest part is, some people say, I am not a devotee of Rama or Krishna, I am only a devotee of Narayana. That is very funny for me, because Rama and Krishna were supposed to be avatars of Narayana only. Then some people say, no, I am not a devotee of Narayana, I is only Shiva. Some people say, no, I am a devotee of a Father in heaven, I follow Christ. So every religion, each one is devoted to some personality. But what you need to understand is, if you are a true sadhak, You will go beyond the personality and you will get attuned to the infinite. The same infinite which is present in Krishna, he was an avatar, he manifested. It is the same infinite which Christ also manifested. That's why Christ said, "Come to me, I'll save you." He does not mean the personality. Me means that infinite. It's the same infinite which Buddha got attuned to. Buddha means the awakened one. It is the same infinite which Mahavira got united to. And it is the same infinite which you also can get attuned to. Because when we talk of Krishna, Christ, Buddha, Mahavira and all these great saints, now you forget that your purpose is not to merely glorify them, but you have to do sadhana and get to the same state. So when he says one should sit united with me as a supreme, mat paraha, it's a very, very powerful phrase which he is using. It is a call to humanity. He is directly talking to you. So you have these two aspects. One is the finite, the other is the infinite. It's very, very interesting. He uses the word paraha. Paraha means supreme, highest. It also means other, alien. Like we say, swadharma, paradharma, we say. That nature which is your own nature, paradharma means that which is alien to you. He uses that word here, mat paraha. So we have translated it as with me as a supreme, but it means much, much more. So paraha, when the first aspect is highest or supreme, is referring to the infinite. The other aspect is, the second aspect is other or something which is alien. We will see both, because that will, when you get into the depth of this will automatically make you meditative. It's a meditative process when he says, united with me as a supreme. So first of all, you have two aspects within you. One is the finite aspect, the external aspect, and the other is the infinite aspect, which is that supreme being, supreme self. So whenever they said Tattvamasi, that God you are, they didn't mean the finite aspect. Because one person asked me, "Sir, when I say I am God, am I not giving a boost to my ego?" Yes, if you mean merely the finite aspect. But that is not what they are meaning. Like Ravana, he kept on saying, "Aham Brahmasmi, I am God." But there is a big difference between Ravana saying, "I am God," and Krishna saying, "I am God." Or Rama saying, "I am God." What is the difference? When Ravana says, "I am God," he is referring to the finite aspect. The finite aspect in you is controlled by the ego. The infinite aspect in you is free. So when Ravana said, "I am God," he is his ego talking about the finite aspect. When Krishna says, "I am God," he is a free person. He is talking about the infinite being. So whenever you come across this word I, me, since we are doing the Bhagavad Gita, we will stick to this now. Whenever you come across these kinds of phrases, now immediately you should get attuned to that infinite aspect within you. United with me, the highest aspect. Mat paraha. Paraha means the highest aspect, the infinite aspect within you. And then the other dimension of paraha, it means alien, something which is other. now this is a very deep principle he is giving. I'll explain it today. Next week I'll again recapitulate and give you a little more also. See, when it is told to you that you have a finite aspect, you have an infinite aspect, all that you understand. But when it comes to your experience, do you experience yourself today as a finite or infinite? That is the question. Your experience is always of the finite aspect only. There is a big problem in communication which these masters are facing, because they are experiencing the infinite aspect, but the student is experiencing the finite aspect. So communication becomes very, very difficult. So whenever you use the word I, the only thing which you are referring to is the body, the mind, the thoughts. You don't know anything apart from these. If I were to tell you, take away your body, take away your mind, take away your thoughts, take away this waking state of consciousness, take away this dream state of consciousness, take away the deep sleep state of consciousness, then what will remain? Will you still be there? You will say, no, I will no longer exist. If you ask me to detach from the body, the emotions, the thoughts, from the waking state, dream state, deep sleep state, all these things, if I detach myself, then I will no longer exist. But what the great yogis have experienced, what they have discovered, is something amazing. When you meditate and when you detach your consciousness from the body, the emotions, the mind, then it is not that you don't exist, that I exist in its purest form. As long as the consciousness was identifying with the body, it was limited consciousness, conditioned consciousness. So when the consciousness gets detached, it becomes unconditional consciousness, unconditioned consciousness, limitless, that infinite. Actually, words fall short. This has to be experienced. This has to be felt from the deepest core. So that is why the other aspect becomes significant. The second dimension, that is other or alien. Other means something other than what you are experiencing today. The moment he says me, you will immediately equate it to finite only, whether it is for yourself or even if you take Lord Krishna, you will say, oh, he is asking us to pray to his form. So you will keep a photograph or picture of Lord Krishna and you will go on praying. Nothing wrong with that, but that is not what he is meaning here. It is much, much more deep. That is only, that may be a starting point, but that is not the end. So, paraha means something which is other than whatever you are experiencing yourself as today. So you are experiencing yourself as the body. You are experiencing yourself as emotions. You are experiencing yourself as your thoughts. But paraha means something which is other than the body, other than the emotions, other than thoughts, other than whatever you are believing today, whatever you are experiencing today. And what is that? That is the other dimension, the highest, the supreme, infinite. So what you are experiencing today is a finite. So he says, enough. For many, many births you have been focusing on the finite. Now start focusing on the infinite aspect within you. Mat paraha, yukta mat paraha. Asita, sit, relax, Be alert, rest, let your mind settle down, and then start focusing on the infinite aspect within you. Births after births, you have been focusing only on the finite aspect. Now the time has come. As Swami Vivekananda said, arise, awake. So you should wake up. You're all spiritually sleeping. Even though your two eyes are open, you are in the waking state of consciousness, but you are still spiritually asleep. And this is what in the same chapter towards the end, he will say, where others are sleeping, a yogi is awake. Means for everyone, the infinite is not known, is dark, whereas a yogi knows that aspect. So, Tani sarvani sanyamya yukta asita matparaha, united with that infinite. United with me as a supreme. That is a sadhana. So whenever you sit for meditation, I will install these in your deeper layers of your mind today. So whenever you sit, even for Yoga Sankirtan sadhana, first is in a relaxed way you sit and play. What will happen is, by the time you finish the Yoga Sankirtan sadhana, your consciousness would have lifted to the next level. So that's why you will feel absolutely calm and composed. You will be existing, but you will still feel you are not there. Are you there or not there? You will be confused. It means the infinite aspect, you started getting attuned to the infinite aspect. So just sit with that feeling, with that experience for a few minutes. If you're feeling restless, no issues. Get up. No forcing here. The more and more deep you get into yourself, the more sadhana you do, slowly your attunement, the yukta means uniting, attunement with the infinite will start increasing. Okay, so we will stop with this today. It's a very powerful message with which I have ended this. So you reflect on this, and when we do the meditation, I will initiate you a little bit into this Asita and Matparaha today. We'll make a start, and then we'll go on expanding it week after week. And when we have these advanced courses like the 22 days program which we are going to have in December, that is expanding your consciousness, getting attuned to the infinite, and then how to take that infinite energy and infuse it into the finite aspect, each and every cell of your body, because the focus there is health, the ancient secrets of health. So many steps are there, many meditative practices will be given. 22 days, 22 sessions, deep sadhana, where you will learn how to get attuned to the infinite, how to get united with the infinite aspect, and then bring that energy and infuse it in each and every part of your body, each and every cell of your body. That is a science. So there were a few questions. So I will take them, I'll take those questions now, and then we will get into meditation. The first question which has been put up in the YouTube comment section. This was last week the person had put this. If someone sets an intent upon their life to do good and be a good person, and another sets out to do harm and be a perpetrator of abuse towards that person, whose life desire is experienced? Very interesting question. This is the first question. And then it is my assertion to be sovereign, free from tyranny and abuse, while it is a choice of some to abuse, enslave humanity and exploit. Whose desire and mindset wins? And how do we protect ourselves from extremely toxic thought form projection, negative energy assault, evil intent and harm to our physical form while focused on our true nature? Very, very interesting. He has actually asked 3 questions here. I'll simplify it and give it for everyone. My request to the sadhak and even others is that whenever you frame questions, try to use simple phrases, simple language. As a sadhana you can practice it, because the questions which have been asked are quite deep, but the language used is not so simple. So when you practice using simple phrases, simple language, it will help you in gaining more clarity. That is a sadhana. If you go to the Upanishads, the questions will be very, very simply phrased. Actually, it will be so simple that you may wonder whether it is a small boy, it's a small child who's asking. So you should become childlike, simple, and that will help, simple in thinking, that will help you gain clarity. So 3 questions have been asked. First question is, if I have a thought that I should be good, that is, my good things should happen to me, let us say, and then another person, he is having a thought of harming me. Now he is asking, whose desire will get fulfilled? I am thinking good things should happen to me. Another person is thinking bad should happen to me. Now will good happen to me or bad happen to me? That is the first question. I'll answer that first, and then we'll go to the second, then we'll go to the third. Now, whenever 2 forces are acting, remember the rule is whichever force is greater, that is what will fructify. This is a basic law. If there is an object, now one person is pulling, let us say this book, one person is pulling it from this side, another person is pulling it from this side. Now will this book go here or there? Whichever force is greater, that's where the book will go. This is something which we have learnt in science. The same law, the same rule is applicable at the spiritual level also. So when you generate thoughts of goodness, another person is generating thoughts of badness. Whether you will get influenced by him or whether he will get influenced by you, it depends on whose force is greater. But your question is whether my thought will influence myself more or the other person's thoughts will influence myself more. There is one thing which I will want to mention here, which is very important. That is, whenever you generate a thought, your thought has more influence on your personality than another person's thought. The reason is, your thought is emanating from your personality itself. So the force will be greater, the impact will be greater. But for another person's thought to come and reach you, it has to come and reach you, it has to come and penetrate your personality, then only it can have some influence. So remember this. The first principle is, when 2 forces are operating, whichever force is greater, that will rule. But the second aspect is, when it comes to your thought versus another person's thought, as far as the impact on your personality is concerned, your thought will always have more force because that is being generated from within. Supposing you want to, see, this is your finger. Now you want to move your finger. This is a thought. Immediately you can move it. Supposing a person is standing in front of you. You want to move his finger. Now the thought has to reach him and you will have to catch hold of the finger and then move, and he will resist. So your thought has lesser impact on the other person. This is the second principle. Because if this principle is not there, imagine what will happen, what will be our condition. Everybody is generating some negative thought or other. If all that starts influencing us, we'll be finished. No. That is why in the Shastras it is said, Yatha bhavaha tata asi. Whatever your bhav is, you are that, you will become that. So don't worry about others' thoughts about you. What thoughts are you generating from within? As long as you generate good thoughts from within, that cannot be beaten. Let people bring in any negative thought, but your thought force will become a protective armor around you. Every day when you do the Yoga Sankirtan Sadhana, you're taking guidance from a master. He gives you that wisdom, he gives you that mastery with which you build an automatic protective covering around you. So that is the answer to the first question. The second part which has been asked is whose mindset wins with respect to the world. That is, here it is with respect to individual. Now let us take an external situation. There are good people who want to do good to the world. There are negative people who are wanting to harm the world. Now whose mindset will win? Will the world be good or bad? It will be a mixture only. Depending on which force is higher, that's what will happen. So this has been beautifully explained in the Puranic stories, where you will find sometimes the demons will gain power, and demons mean the bad people. They're just been described in that way. So they will rule, and they will oppress others. But then after a while, the good forces will become strong, and the goodness will overcome the badness, and the goodness will rule. What is the deeper meaning? What are they trying to convey? Both these forces will always be there in the world. Now what will win depends on which force is greater. So then what can you do to contribute towards the world? What is the best thing you can do? That is to do the sadhana and develop immense spiritual energy and radiate that highest energy to everyone around you, to this entire humanity. That is what all the yogis are doing. This is a concept of what we call as collective consciousness. So one is the individual consciousness, but all our consciousness put together, it's called collective consciousness. So when the entire society is thinking negative, one yogi sits there, meditates, and he generates positive thoughts, and that gets on to the collective consciousness. Then the balance happens. So all the great masters who are meditating, who are radiating that positive energy, they are doing the greatest service to humanity because they are bringing about the balance. And then the third aspect is, how do we protect ourselves from from negative energy? That's the basic question. Whenever negative energy is there, how do we protect ourselves? It is only through sadhana you can protect yourself. Why do you need to be bothered about the power of the negative energy? Negative can be conquered only by positive. So increasing your positive energy alone will help you to protect yourself from the negative assault. So when you are in the body, that's what you have said, harm to our physical form while focused on our true nature. That's exactly what we've been seeing today. Mat paraha, you have the finite aspect, you have the infinite aspect. So the more sadhana you do, do the Yoga Sankirtan sadhana every day, do the Yoga Vishramaha once a week, and you're attending anyway these Sunday discourses every week. Whenever the deeper courses, the empowerment programs happen, like Yoga Sankirtan happened a few months back, now the 22-day course is going to be there. Grab that opportunity, because those courses will directly lift your consciousness and get you attuned to the infinite. Your spiritual powers will increase in leaps and bounds. So when you do all this, you will find that you will be protected. Not only will you be protected, the amazing thing is when any negative energy is thrown to you, that will get absorbed by your positive energy. Instead of you getting influenced by the negative person will get influenced by your positive energy. That's what will happen. Okay, so it's a very nice, crisp, it is within a few lines, 3 stages of the question had been asked. So I've given the answer in brief, and here and there as we go along also, I'll keep giving more points. So all that will help you get a comprehensive answer to this. Then there are just a couple of more things which I wanted to take up. One is this question has been put in the comment section of YouTube by Rajashekar Vadiveluji. He has asked, Pranam Guruji, how can a person overcome the fear of failure when he is striving to achieve something in his life by following yatataha, the 5 dimensions? If you can take up this question in your session, that would be grateful. Thank you, Guruji. I will take this up in the coming discourses, because the question is very simple, but the answer, there are so many points to that. I will cover a few, and as we go to different verses, you will find this question getting answered. So kindly wait and be attentive. You will be getting the answers, and I should say the way you have expressed your question is very, very humble and so sweet. The energy is wonderful, The other question is also related to this failure only, which a lady has asked. She had sent a mail, the past failures which she had gone through. So how do I get over those memories? So one tip I'll just give you, that is, whenever you're doing the Yoga Sankirtan sadhana, if something is genuinely bothering you, like fear of failure about a particular incident, just sit with that and do the deep breathing and do the Yoga Sankirtan sadhana. You will find that all the factors will get released. Okay, right now I'll stop with that. We will get into all this as and when the context comes. So now we'll do meditation. Gently close your eyes. Do deep breathing. With every breath, I'm becoming completely relaxed. Let go of your past. Let go of your future. And relax completely in the present. Each and every cell of my body is in a state of total relaxation, but at the same time 100% alertness. I am in a state of relaxed alertness, asita. I have these two aspects within me. The finite aspect, which consists of the body, the emotions and thoughts, and the infinite aspect, which is the supreme consciousness. Mat Paraha, I focus on me as a supreme. I choose to withdraw my consciousness from the finite and get united with the other aspect, which is Paraha, the highest, the supreme most divine nature. I am that Supreme Being. I have infinite powers within me. I am Swayam Prakashit, self-illuminating. Offer your gratitude to God Supreme. Offer your gratitude to your Guru and all the holy masters. Slowly come back. Wriggle your fingers, your toes, open and close your palms a few times. Rub your palms together to create a warmth. Cup your eyes with your palms. Gently rub your eyes, your cheeks, forehead, the top of the head, the back of the head and neck. Very, very slowly open your eyes. Welcome back. So today I had taken you quite deep. All these verses should be meditated upon. These are not verses giving you information. These are verses to help you do your sadhana and perfect yourself. A master comes into your life to help you achieve self-mastery, not to make you dependent on him forever. Initially, that dependence may be there, but He will go on giving the guidance and help you go within yourself and become attuned to that infinite self, to that infinite divine being. So many questions have also been asked about the 22-day event. As we go along, I will answer those questions. There is one small thing, that is from, as I mentioned last week, from the moment a person registers and commits, the energy will start flowing. So every day after my meditation, I am sitting and giving healing for all the participants who have registered. So whoever is registered, what you do is, after your Yoga Sankirtan Sadhana, that Mat Paraha, you can practice that. Just sit quietly for a few minutes and do nothing. Just be aware of your higher self, that's all. Don't try to force it. Don't try to pull your mind forcefully and all that. Naturally. Even if it is done for 10 seconds, it's okay. Do that. And I will be coming up with instructional, certain small healing videos, which will be sent, the links will be sent separately to the registered participants. And I will also be giving instructions there how to use those videos. These are all preparations before we get on with the 22-day program. Certain small capsules I'll be giving you, which you may have to listen some three times a day. Sometimes I may say more than 3 times. So all those details you will soon be getting. This is for the participants who have registered, and certain other tips also as to how you can prepare your body for receiving the higher grace during the 22-day program. So all that has come in my meditation, so I will be sending them to you soon. And one more request is, those people who are registering for their family members, please put their names. See, that is why in the registration form, the names of each participant has been, the space has been provided for that, their names, their emails and contact number. Because when the list is being given to me, what I found is one person had registered for 4 people, that is his family members. Only his name is appearing. Same name 4 times. No, they are registering, so you should put their name in the participants list, because I am sitting and sending a lot of energy to prepare each and every one. Okay, so kindly do that. We'll see more next week. Practice this, whatever was given today. Very, very powerful tips and tools have been given today. So just let it soak into your deeper minds, because this meditation today was meant for that only, and see how you can apply these in your life. Okay, we'll go into further depth next week. Thank you.